The Supreme Court's decision to overturn Roe v. Wade was just one of several significant rulings that have changed our country in recent days. For more, let's welcome celebrated author and presidential historian Michael Beschloss. His latest work in a bookshelf full of works is Presidents of War. Michael, always good to see you, and I want to start with your reaction.
Oh, great to see you, Alicia.
All these SCOTUS rulings, this was a huge week. How different is our country today from where we were 10 days ago?
Well, 10 days ago, as you well know, there were a lot of people who were saying, yes, there's a conservative new majority on the Supreme Court, but they'll probably tread cautiously. Anything they do against Roe v. Wade, for instance, will probably be incremental. Same with other things. That is not what's happened. You know, a lot of people who were worried about Donald Trump over these last 7 years, one of the things they were worried about from the White House was tyranny on behalf of a group of policies that only a minority of Americans support. Well, last week we've seen exactly that same kind of tyranny now from the Supreme Court. You know, it's possible for the Supreme Court to come up with a momentous decision like Brown versus Board of Education, desegregating American society, 1954, and say, this is a big social change. Some people may disagree. We're going to do it in a way that's kindly and try to bring everyone together. That's not the tone of the decisions we saw in the last week. Roe v. Wade, and also on gun safety, and also the ruling on restraining the EPA. That was not a hand on our shoulder in a friendly way. That was a slap across our face. It's almost as if they've arrived in town, almost like bullies, and said, you know, you'd better now reckon with us. We've got the power. We're going to do what we want, even though we're not in touch with a majority of Americans.
So, Michael, let me ask you, historically, what has happened after decisions like this? How do Americans typically react?
They react in two ways. Number one, it can divide the country almost to the point of civil war. That's what happened in 1857. The Supreme Court did the Dred Scott decision saying basically black Americans are not people, and if you don't like slavery, deal with it. It's going to be here forever. That led directly to a civil war 4 years later. Mid-1930s, the Supreme Court said to Franklin Roosevelt in the New Deal, you can't get so involved in, trying to regulate the economy and other areas of private life, and struck down a lot of the reforms that Roosevelt had done. A lot of people were angry. This country was very unsettled. There were demagogues in the late 1930s. I think there's a very good chance we're going to see all this again, especially because something they didn't decide this week, the Supreme Court, but they did ominously announce, and that is they're going to take on a case during the next year that may give the right to decide presidential elections much more strongly to state legislatures. There's a possibility that, I hate to say this, Alicia, there's a possibility that we may have seen our last fair and free presidential election in the United States. I hope not.
Absolutely devastating. I want to play some sound of Cassidy Hutchinson describing the former president's reaction to Bill Barr's public statement that there was no election fraud.
There was ketchup dripping down the wall, and there's a shattered porcelain plate on the floor. The valet had articulated that the president was extremely angry at the Attorney General's AP interview and had thrown his lunch against the wall.
As someone who has studied the White House so closely, how does Donald Trump's behavior compare to other presidents throughout our nation's history?
Every other president is in one category. Donald Trump is in the other. We're hearing our brave witness, Ms. Hutchinson's testimony saying that this is a president who tried to get his attorney general to lie and say that he really won the election, that Trump did. It's not his attorney general, it's our attorney general. He had no right to do that. Almost every president knows that. But above and beyond that, what we heard even reinforced and expanded from her testimony is this is the only president in American history who has sought to unleash violence against the Congress and the Capitol, to take down our democracy, end the peaceful transfer of power. That goes so far beyond what any other president in history has ever done. I do hope that we never see it again. I'm not sure that will happen or will not happen.
Michael, I've got about 30 seconds left, but I got to say I almost lost my breath when you just said what you said about how we may have seen our last fair and free elections predicated on this, future Supreme Court decision. Do you think Americans understand? I mean, I think our viewers do, but do you think Americans at large understand the peril that American democracy is in?
I'm not sure that they do, and they better, because if our democracy is taken away, and it might be even in the next 4 or 5 months, it will be because people stood silent. All I would say to our friends who are watching us is vote, organize, express yourself, and peaceful protest would be good too. Remember what Robert Kennedy said, in our society, it is not enough to allow dissent, we must demand it.
The incomparable Michael Beschloss. Michael, as always, thank you so much.